Boker Tov. Thank you, thank you. Little upper respiratory thing, so I'm going to battle some tea up here. Just really, my mind is racing right now with so many things I could say to all of you. Thinking back to just last January, I think, coming here and accepting this incredible honor that I still every single day cannot believe that I'm in this role to work with all of you. And it's not just to work with all of you, because I think about what's going on in the Jewish world and what a level of responsibility we have right now. Not just what's happening in the Jewish world. I'll probably speak more to it later, but even what's happening in Minnesota right now and supporting our colleagues at the Minnesota JCCs, dealing with the issues there. Yesterday, navigating New York and protests. Our society is going through a lot. And just that I believe in my heart, if I'm traveling these last 6 months, I joke that Hilton, just told me I'm at 97 nights. In 6 months, I've gotten to see JCCs and just see the similarities of this and the beauty that these communities have, and how similar all the JCCs are. Some have palm trees, some have different types of shrubs, but like inside the heart, when I walked into a JCC, they're the same. The preschools, the camps, if it's sing Shabbat, at a JCC, it's all the same music, and just how important that our work together to amplify Jewish life in this moment. I mean, this is a real serious responsibility. Daniel and I were both Schusterman Fellows. Daniel, I don't know if they ever took you on the DC tour of the quotes of FDR. Has anyone been to the FDR quotes? My mind was just racing, thinking about still just honor that we're all being given. But there's a quote from FDR, and FDR wasn't always so great for the Jews, but that, FDR said, "I never forget, I live in a house owned by the American people, and they trust me with it." And I remember looking at that going, wow. Okay, let's not comment on current state. But I just want to say that I really want you to know, like I do get up every morning, and all of you, that I never forget that we're governing an organization that is owned by the JCCs of North America, and that they're trusting us with it. So just take that FDR quote and just think about what JCCs and Jewish life across North America is counting on us for at this moment. And we can't be naive about demographic changes. I was thinking about how I was a social work student in the 1990s. We had interfaith groups for grandparents of interfaith grandchildren. They thought their world was ending, right? How many of us have interfaith children in our family, right? How many of us are, right? Like, the times keep on evolving, and the JCCs have to be there to continue to meet the needs of a community. So I wanted to share with you that this word strategic framework is not the most dynamic and inspiring word. So we would like to call the new framework chazon, which is the Hebrew word for vision. And there's something prophetic about having vision, about where we're headed. It takes a lot of work, make difficult decisions, but that this framework that we are making and going to discuss over these next 2 days is a new covenant between JCC Association and the movement for the future. And I wrote to myself this morning that this is a promise to the JCCs we serve that we will be their indispensable partner in building the next generation of Jewish life, and that this covenant that we're going to learn about and talk about is built on 3 commitments. There will be a leading incubator for lay and professional talent. I think we all understand why we need that partnership to govern our JCCs. That we're going to be a primary connector for a vibrant Jewish peoplehood. A lot of what you just said, Daniel, that we need to stay connected and truly feel responsible for each other. And that we need to be a central hub for groundbreaking innovation and impact. This is our moment to really be bold, different. We're going to challenge the status quo because our communities need us to do that. And that sometimes requires inspiration. I've learned this sometime the hard way. We will be criticized at times because we will be leading. And leadership is hard, but this is our moment to truly lead. So for the next couple of days, when we turn to our consultant, Brian, this is our Chazon Vision 2030 plan. We know we have another word called Tikva out there for our Tikva campaign, which means hope. And we'll talk if that is still the right word to guide us, lead us. But this vision will be called Chazon 2030. It's our vision when I go out to funders to represent all of you in partnership with you. That's what we're looking to call this moment. I also want to just remind you of your governance responsibility for the next 2 days. We had an incredible strategic framework task force. Please raise your hands if you're in that group. Thank you very much. We have board members. I want a big acknowledgement to Ron Brell, Lisa's husband, who joined that task force. He had some business expertise to offer us. This is your time to challenge assumptions, ask questions, not just validate the work. Jay's going to present a budget that took a lot of work. There's so much we should be proud of in the last 6 months. This agency had some tough, challenging years, and we're going to show you a small operating surplus this year. Okay? From losing over a couple of $1 million to having a surplus doesn't come easily. So to Michael Feinstein, especially, and to Jay and the group, thank you very much for overseeing our financials. We knew that it was a transitional budget, and it was a time also for strategic investment. And I will say there might not be a more important vote that I've seen in this boardroom, and I served on this board, than the votes that we will take tomorrow. And it might be a bigger, how can I say this the right way? This vote tomorrow might be one of the most important strategic investments we're making, and there's a bigger risk if we don't accept the plan. Okay? That's how I want, it might be a bigger risk. So if you decide to vote against it, we want to hear why. Because we are open, we are a board, we should hear each other, but this is a big moment for JCC Association to really elevate itself. So I want to just take a moment to share with you a video that some of you saw. Who was in the opening ceremony, the opening session of ProCon? Okay, so almost 90% of this room wasn't. And I don't like when we spend some resources and we do something amazing and we don't leverage it. But we showed this video to the 700 people that came to ProCon. Another accomplishment this year, the first ProCon since before COVID. So shout out to our team led by Carrie Darsky to pull off ProCon. Thank you, Carrie. There's been a lot of accomplishments the last 6 months, right? I'll acknowledge people joining our team in a moment, but not just the budget and ProCon. We had an unbelievable set of JCC Maccabi games. Thank you to Sam and Jeremy and that group. We sent 150-something kids through Operation Summer Camp, connecting our military families to JCC camps. That was our highest number. There are so many things that are directionally correct at a time when the cup can feel half empty, that I hope you can feel a real sense of optimism. The work that's happening in our boardrooms every day, our staffs, and to me, there's 3 beautiful words that define our work. We need to make sure, you'll see I like 3s, just like 3s. We have to continue to create a place that people feel they belong, both Jewish and people of other faiths. We need to continue to inspire people to want to live a good moral compass life and to be good human beings toward each other. Just like the quote says, whoever can save a life can save a world. And the other thing is we've got to continue to be resilient. And so if we think about resilience and inspiration and belonging, that is going to guide our work as a movement at this moment. So what I want to do is bring you up to speed on how are we going to do this work? How do we take an organization that maybe needed to be rebooted? I've used the word turned around, re-energized, reimagined. And what steps do we do? Because sometimes it can sound very overwhelming. So back in September, I did a presentation called Connecting the Dots. And I just shared a little bit about what we have accomplished just in the last months. We have welcomed new professionals to our team. We have had to have some difficult conversations. But to take the existing amazing professional team that I cannot tell you how under-resourced and how hard they work. And to build with them additional people has been incredible. So I just want to, first of all, acknowledge the JCCA team for being here. So if they're able and willing to please stand so you see who they are. So this has been a team who have been there for a lot, been through a lot. We've added advisors, which I'll mention in a moment, and we welcomed in some new people. And that's what makes an organization thrive and be exciting. We just heard beautiful announcements about families adding children and grandchildren. You had new energy, you had new excitement. We also are going through a life cycle change in the JCC movement. So I want to connect the dots. I said early on that we need level 5 leadership. And that are people in the concept of good to great, the book by Jim Collins, people that are just relentlessly going to work tirelessly for the efforts of the Jewish people. And I think that we have a team at JCCA in the present and in the future that is doing that professionally. And I am beyond confident after working with David and wow, when that baton will be passed to Lisi, that we have level 5 lay leadership. So I just want to acknowledge all of you for being the leadership that we need at this moment. I also said back then, it's first who, then what? We got to find the right who, people. You just got a little taste of Rabbi Daniel Septimus, who, like me, had his own not shown moment, who said, hey, I think there's a higher calling for me. So welcome, Daniel, to you. I also want to acknowledge Carrie Lipton. Where's Carrie? Coming from the 92nd Shawai as our new Chief Financial Administrative Officer. And then last week, welcoming back Deanne Foreman to the JCC Association team. So that, along with the current team, we got some seasoned executive experience and people that I know in their neshama, their souls, how much they care about JCCs and the Jewish people. I also mentioned what the headshot concept is. If you don't know what the headshot concept in business, it's what are you passionate about? What do you think you could be the best at? And what can you afford? And we've had to determine where we, as an underlying philosophy in the plan that Brian and I talk about all the time, is where do we lead and where do we partner? We do not have to be the best at everything. There are people doing things pretty remarkable out there, but we have the platform. So let's not reinvent what other Jewish organizations are doing. Let's be known as an exceptional partner. And when you're out there in your communities with all your social capital, and people say JCC Association, they're like, oh, everybody loves working with JCC Association, right? They know who they are. They know what lane they're in. They know what they're great at, and that they're a great partner. So the headshot concept is this intersection of what are we passionate about? I think you're going to hear a lot. What do we think we can be great about? And then ensuring that we only spend the money we have to do that work. That means a culture of discipline. You can imagine in my 20s and 30s, I didn't know that word. I've had to mature in my own leadership about being very disciplined about how we do things, when we do things, and the way we go about it. But I feel when those 4 things happen in business, a flywheel concept starts happening. Energy starts happening. Even last week's article, EJ Philanthropic, I laughed this morning. I told the governance, 3 search firms calling me going, how do I get involved with your restructuring? I got business consultants saying, I'm coaching. Like, people are interested in us because we became interesting as new things are happening and more things that we'll talk about over the next day. That flywheel needs to move, and I need your help to keep that flywheel moving. Has everyone got the concept? Let's keep energy in your own boardrooms, in your local communities. If you don't know exactly what to say, we'll give you some bullets, but that you're really sharing the excitement with your own federations, right? There was a time when federations gave us a lot more support, right? There's a lot of people out there that can invest in us in this moment. So just social capital is your networks. It's not just your financial capital. Your social capital is massively important at this moment, that you're out there talking to your networks about what's going on at JCCA, okay? We have these 3 centers of excellence. I really appreciate that the board has gotten behind this concept of realigning our organization into 3 centers. We're going to talk and get deep into those In Minneapolis, we talked about the services we're going to provide in that areas. I'm going to share with you some staffing now and how we're going to staff these centers. And I promised you transparency, so I might give you more detail than you want today. You'll let me know at lunch. I've been traveling a lot, and my goal, probably aggressive to say in 2 years, to visit every JCC in North America, but I visited a lot already in the first 6 months. And we have an incredible array of JCCs that are going through different stages. Some are going through reimaginations of their campus in Cleveland, to other ones I've seen that have been dedicated, like the Marcus JCC being beautiful. Vancouver's breaking ground on a $160 million Jewish campus this spring. I was just in the beautiful Shalom, Austin. I was with Todd seeing his beautiful place in Tucson, Valley of the Sun. We'll be with Toronto. I was with Addie in Chicago. Our JCCs, for the most part, are thriving. And the ones that are struggling are usually very much in areas that are very much declining in Jewish life. And we have to figure out how to support them and give them different business models. It doesn't mean close down. It means reimagine how they do their business in the community, because there's still going to be 10,000 Jews living there and need a JCC, but they need a business model that requires more people. So to even my colleague Brian, see you over there, Brian, reimagining what you're doing in Detroit, right? Looking at our real estate, but that I will argue with anybody that wherever you're going to see a thriving Jewish community, there's going to be a JCC in the heart of that community. I can't find one Jewish community that is thriving that there isn't a JCC in a sense of strong brick and mortar in that community. And I have seen incredible innovative programming. One of our goals with our Center for Innovation and Impact with Deanne is to share best practices. Daniel, I'll give you Shalom Austin a shout out. The lobby had, I don't know, looked like something in Times Square, a touchscreen wall for kids to experience Israel in their lobby. You could touch it. There were games about Israel, learning about Israel. I never saw a lobby with a, 30 by 40-foot screen that kids could just touch. These are the types of things that we can share as knowledge between JCCs. I was with Paul in San Francisco and saw their Bavaka Shah initiative, allowing every Jewish organization to use their space. There are so many amazing things. That's one of the best things that we can do in this spider web, is share ideas with each other and be a networked organization, right? Addie, a big shout out to you with the Growing Hope campaign, right? Hope is not just for Jews. We're here to inspire our community. So there are so many beautiful things that we can think about and scale. And there is so much connection when we talk to each other inside these communities. What makes JCCs really, really powerful, and Deanne, we talked about this when you and I were chatting about benchmarking, was informal conversations. That when we talk to people inside JCC communities, we're always like 1 degree of separation away from somebody who can help us. If we talk, and we ask questions, and we're curious. So I have so many stories to tell you about my little red dots. Those are not all the places I've been so far. Those are our JCCs. But I've been to probably 30 communities already. And I'll tell you a cute one only because it's just top of mind for me. I went to Rochester about 4 weeks ago to see Jason Vasquez, to 200,000 square foot JCC. Massive. Rochester was a booming Jewish community with synagogues everywhere. And they're going through, they still have a lot of Jews there, but they're definitely going through, a generational shift there. And so I'm on the plane from LaGuardia like 9:30 at night to land there like 10:40. It's just an easy hour to Rochester. I'm going, Rochester. I never really say Rochester too much, the word Rochester, except when someone asks me my security password or where I was born, because I was born in Rochester, New York. But my dad was a rabbi at Temple Emmanuel of Rochester. I left at 3.5 years old to move to Long Island. I went to Cleveland, then Long Island. I was like, oh, Rochester. This is probably the only board of directors I can say that I was born in Rochester. So I'm like sitting there in the hotel room and checking in. And I'm like, oh, I've really never, ever thought of Rochester. So I Googled my dad's name. And there it comes up in the history of Temple Emmanuel that Rabbi Hermann and his young family of 4 kids, were the rabbi from 1970 to 1974. Like, oh, that's cool. So Jason Vasquez picks me up at the car, the exec in front of the hotel. And I tell him the story. He's like, oh, wow. I'm like, that's cool. I go, I'm like, you sound like so excited about it. He goes, well, of all the synagogues that just could have moved into the JCC, Temple Emmanuel just shut down its final building, and they just took over like 20,000 square feet of the JCC. I was like, oh my God, my dad would love to know this, because I wrote my thesis in 1996 on the relationship of synagogues and JCCs working together. And I walk into the lobby, and it says preschool, camp, Temple Emmanuel to the right. And I'm like, oh my God, like how cool is this that I'm back in place? So anyway, I open up the board meeting. I open up the board meeting, and I say, you're the only JCC I can say that I was, born in this city. And I tell the story about Temple Emmanuel, and we go on with my site visit for 10, 11 hours. That night, around 7:30 at night, I get this email from Jason Vasquez forwarded to me from his board member in the meeting with me. Jason, this is really funny. Please share with Barak. I mentioned to my wife, Lynn, about the inspiring meeting we had earlier, and our guest, Barak Hermann, spent some early years in Rochester, and that his father was the rabbi at Temple Emmanuel that just moved into the JCC. Well, at that time, my wife, Lynn, was a member of Temple Emmanuel. She writes back in bold, OMG, I babysat him. And guess what? He has a twin sister and 2 older sisters. I still have the mini menorah that his oldest sister, Deborah, gave me. It has been on my mantle every Hanukkah since 1970. I hope I'm spelling his siblings' names correctly. He was an infant, so of course he wouldn't have any recollection. Small world, you should never know one Jew to another. So I love the story because it just reminds me, you go into a community, you start talking, and I just can't wait to, for Lynn to see what this little baby came out to look like. So I just wanted to add to your definition that people, it should be about connection to each other and never forgetting who your babysitters are. Nothing. So our movement is really, really connected. It's amazing, but you only have that connection if we share about our own stories, right? And so I think that as we continue to tell stories, it's really important. I talked about puzzle pieces about how I felt this organization needed to reboot. And one was to maximize governance and board engagement. A big shout out to Lisi and Suzanne Tucker, who under Gary's leadership formed a task force, have spent hours, email threads, copywriting, bylaw revisions, and tomorrow you'll hear from them. But this was a very important puzzle piece, was to maximize governance. So I just want to give a big round of thanks to Lisa and Suzanne. So you will hear from them tomorrow, how we're going to look to reboot our engagement more. And one thing I will give you as a sneak peek, because I'm really proud of them, is that we will be looking to populate our JCCA committees with people from the field. That it's not just our board that should sit on committees. We have incredible people out there who might not want to be on the board, but can be on our committees. We could have so many people that have served as chairs of their JCCs. It's a great way to get them involved with us without asking for the full investment. So you'll hear more tomorrow. This is what keeps me up at night. And the most important thing is to build an amazing team. The board is amazing, but these are the professionals every day who work sometimes 90 hours a week. They're in this room. We just talked about them a little bit. But I want to make sure that you know how this team is coming to better. Part of being a CEO is to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, taller than me. That's why I'm standing up here. There was no stage here this morning. I asked for it. But I really, building a team that would move us into a new era. And part of that was I wanted to build. Sure. Can you flip it, Joanne? to build an executive leadership team that as I've experienced this job for 6 months, I'm on the road a lot. And it's very different than running a local JCC. And just starting to fill these boxes in with just a team. I announced to some of you that I'm a West Wing lover. I told some people last night at the dinner, I needed a chief of staff, so congratulations to Annette McCann. So basically, don't text me if you need anything, just go to Annette. Welcoming in really an acknowledgement to Michael on the financials. But I will tell you that one of the greatest things about bringing Carrie in as our chief financial administrative officer is you don't always get to overlap with the former CFO. And the fact that Michael is staying on full time and then staying on as an executive advisor to Carrie and me has allowed Carrie to more quickly, I guess, understand. But Carrie, thank you for taking a leap of faith and leaving the 92nd Street Y, come down Lexington, hang a right on 37th, and come over to the West Side. Daniel, we heard from, and Dan. Dan and I have worked together for a long time, and you'll get to know Dan and I both ask a lot of questions. And just really thinking about how we use data to tell our story. So Deanne, welcome. And what I will be focusing on these next 2-3 months is a chief advancement officer, and then the last head of one of our centers is an executive director for the Center for Talent Development, which you will hear from Brian is probably 2/3 of where we want to do our financial investment. And you'll see what happens below is in 2000, what year is that, say 21? We had 60 people. We went down. We need to reboot our staff. That's the number one thing we need is more infrastructure to do more Jewish work. So the last couple of years were quite challenging financially. We had to reduce staff. And the goal you'll hear in this plan is to reinvest in human capital. That's the number one asset we have at JCC Association. At the same time, there's a Center for Talent Development that is still like clay, and it's getting molded. And there are, first of all, incredible advisors that are helping me. I mentioned Michael, Lynn Whittles, who served on this board. Lynn will be running our Kivanim program for the year. She also has a search practice that she works in St. Louis that found us. Carrie, she will be doing the search for the chief advancement officer. Brian Schreiber was invaluable in governance. And I just want to also acknowledge Carrie Darsky, who Carrie and I had many conversations. You might have read the email last week about opportunities. And Carrie felt that the best thing for her right now was to be an executive advisor in talent and to stay on full-time through June, maybe beyond in some projects that her and I are exploring. But Carrie, just want to really acknowledge your courage and ability to continue to be a thought partner with me. So thank you to Carrie. And then there are vice presidents that we're looking to explore developing once we raise all this capital. But we'll be a senior vice president for executive development. But right now, between Carrie, Michael, and Lynn, we have really amazing people, former CEOs, Carrie skills, to really help hold that area. So it's not like we're not doing the work. We have this plan in place that can go on for quite a while till we find the right person. We're looking for a senior vice president of lay leadership development that will hold all of our lay stuff. Again, Carrie's holding a lot of that stuff right now. Mark Young is on our team as VP of Talent. He'll be overseeing our new programmatic arm, the Merkaz. We'll talk more about that. Joy Brand is right now in Israel with the Marin Fellows. And I'm just showing you people at VP level or higher. I just want, some of you had said to me, I don't even know like how this org chart works. And I also want to give a shout out to my colleague, Veronica. So Veronica came in this morning or last night from Florida. Veronica is our vice president of the Sheva Center. And one area you'll hear me really tell you that we need to double down on is, and I've said this to some of you before, we have 184 preschools and we have 3 full-time people. I don't know any franchise that would have 184 sites and have 3 people in an office to deal with the level of stress, behavioral issues, new generations of parenting, staffing issues than early childhood. And if we don't support our early childhood centers and double down on them, it would be one of our biggest mistakes that we'll make as a movement. So I have promised Veronica that part of our plan is to get her more support. Schools are in crisis. Everybody wants Veronica to come tomorrow to our community. When a director's in a situation or a director leaves, legal issues. We had something this week, people doing inappropriate things at other schools. Everybody needs Veronica. Veronica only has Lital, right? And Lisa. So Veronica, you work so hard. Can you stand up and be recognized by all of us? So, and then the last position that we're going to be looking at is for as a vice president in talent pipeline, someone who's going to work on middle management, new professionals, development programs. So that's the new talent. It's kind of clay right now, but again, because we have so many incredible former CEOs, and with Carrie and others, we can hold this for a while till we make sure we find the right who. So that's the Center for Talent. The Center for Jewish People is shaping up like this. We have Rabbi Daniel Septimus, we have Rabbi David Kessel, we have Leah Garber, we have Sam Cohn, we have Rabbi Larry Bazer, 3 rabbis, see, 3 again. And we have Orna, who directs our Elevated program with JFNA, the Union of Reform Judaism. It is very exciting that we will be launching, after this board meeting, a task force to really think about what's the highest and best use of supporting JCC camps across North America. I want to thank Rabbi Bill Kaplan, 4 rabbis in the room, for being a thought partner to me these last couple of months about creating this camping task force. Carrie's going to hold that as part of her portfolio with a goal to announce how are we going to support day camps and our resident camps. We got out of that business. There is American Camping Association, there's Grinspoon, there's the Foundation for Jewish Camping. We are by far, not even close, the largest Jewish camping platform in North America, and we have nobody on our team who focuses on camp. Carrie holds that among millions of things on the corner of her desk. These camp directors need us right now. Content, programming, helping raise money for capital. And what's going on at the Foundation for Jewish Camping is also some leadership changes. And they have said to me their leadership bodes well for us to have a senior level professionals to advocate for our camps and represent those camps. So we are going to have a task force, and I'm excited. I can announce that Ed Atkins, who's a former chair of the Camp Shy Board, and Brad Stillman, where's Brad? Who is a former chair of Capital Camps, have agreed to co-chair the camping task force. It's massive. People talk about Camp Ramah, the URJ camps. They talk about Young Judea camps. They do not talk about us as the JCC camps in North America. So for those of you that have Barney Manitz and Camp Sabra and Camp Shy and Camp Wise and Interlaken and all of them, we also want to be known as JCC camps of North America. And this is our moment. And I actually think it's going to really bode well. And then the other position that we'll look to fill as dollars are raised is a new vice president for an arts and culture incubator. Arts and culture around film, literature, dance, it's probably one of the most powerful, pluralistic ways to connect North American Jews to Israel and to Jews around the world. Food, cooking, art, I can go on. And I've met with a bunch of the arts and culture directors, and they are looking for lots of help. There's lots of people out there. There's artists, there's comedians that want to get in, and we just need to figure out what is the best way to do that. So that's the Center for Jewish People Ed. Daniel, thank you for taking all that. But you, as you can tell, Daniel, you're working with a dream team of professionals and incredibly astute and qualified people. Then we have our new center of innovation impact that will do our measurement and storytelling, look for ways to help JCC save money, really create a network of shared knowledge. One of the things that Deanne knows that I'm kind of like Michigan about is that like our whole resource center, I just dream of it being an app, super fast, how we share stuff with each other, like an AI, ask for something, I need a job description. We shouldn't have things up there that's from 2008. How do we keep those resources fast? JCC professionals work really, really long days. The last thing they need at 8 o'clock at night is to spend 2 hours when they probably could have got the information in 10 minutes. And our job should be able to help people work more effectively. So Deanne's going to lead that area, but I got to give a shout out to Morgan. And Morgan's been on our team for a long time, heading our digital marketing. Has a lot of champions inside the JCCA office for her ability to troubleshoot everything from apps to everything you see in technology. So Morgan, we promoted Morgan last week to Vice President of Systems and Data Management, something like that. So Morgan, can you stand up and be recognized too? And in the team with Deanne and Morgan, we are looking for a vice president of it's like a JLab, like how do we incubate new programs, scale programs, and we're also looking for someone to do director of field partnerships and how do we work with sponsors and other organizations. Some J's are asking us to lean in around pooling health insurance together. You know, that's a statewide thing. Can we provide guidance and direction? So this is going to be our center that really looks not just for innovation, but cost-saving opportunities between JCCs. So that's that. We are on the hunt for our next chief advancement officer to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. And that person will also tie together all of our marketing strategy, communications, and development work. And I have to tell you that I've known Joanne for over a decade, but Joanne, working with you the last 6 months has really been remarkable. Your work ethic, commitment, design, what you work with on a shoestring marketing budget that we've provided you has been nothing but remarkable. And when you see tonight, the offices know that every color, chair, fabric has been chosen by Joanne and the designer, but no one championed that office more than Joanne did and the work. So Joanne, thank you for everything. And then these are we have a bigger finance team with people that do AP and AR, but this is our leadership of our finance team. So we have Carrie and Miriam. Miriam has been our controller, and we are working to make sure that our language is a little bit more consistent, is now our senior vice president of finance. And Miriam also, and Carrie, I think we have a real dream team of people that know how to watch the books, watch our cash flow, and make sure that we're staying within our means. So Carrie, welcome. And I know Miriam's not with us today, but thank you. So that was puzzle piece two. What I'm trying to share with you, hopefully the confidence that it's a puzzle of how we turn around an organization. First was governance. You're going to hear from Lisa and Suzanne. Then I said, we're going to build a team. It's happening. Then I said, we're going to develop a business plan that knows exactly what we're doing, how we're doing it, what does it cost. And I had a call upon my colleague for 24 years, Brian Hayden. We both had different hairlines when we started. I met him in Metro West. Steve Steiner, I probably was in that meeting. I was 31, and I'm a little older than Brian. But Brian has once again been in the foxhole with JCCA. And I felt after all the work he did with stakeholder, he had to at least see the other side. So Brian, thank you for your leadership. And soon we'll turn that over to Brian. And he's going to tell you what this business plan looks like. And you're all going to challenge it and ask questions and try to make sure you really understand it. Okay? Then I told you that I'm trying, Joanne? I said, we're going to implement a new organizational budget that watches with quarterly reports, monthly closes, hard numbers. It is, as Michael and I agree, right, Michael, it is directionally correct. It was a lot of work what Michael accomplished these last years, and we gave Michael as appropriate. We have a better sense now of where the money is, what's in the bank, and we are going to present that budget under Jay Lieberman. And I got to say about Jay, there are treasurers who just ask me for the report the week before. Jay is in it to win it. So Jay is appropriately in the weeds because of what went on historically a bit. And Jay, I just want to acknowledge your leadership every day, multiple times, making sure you understand what we're doing. We're going to tighten up every system and policy. And nothing is inappropriate, by the way. We need to tighten up the way we do things. And Jay, I just want to acknowledge your leadership too. So thank you, Jay. I said we were going to relocate to a new headquarters. Guess what? We're right on track. We move tomorrow. And so I never thought that we would be showcasing a new home tonight at the board meeting by dedicating it together. I'm so excited for 2/3 of our staff. I have no idea what they're going to walk into tomorrow. I'd almost tell you, I wish some of you would go to the 4th floor for a moment, take a walk, and then walk back upstairs to remind you of what was and what has come. Because that's what I do on every tour. People are like, why are you going down 4th? I'm like, I just need to show you what was. So if you don't remember what was, we'll show you. But I think tonight you'll see an organization that has a new look, feel, and brand, and a new level of excitement. And I think it speaks volumes of where we're headed. And then I said we're going to enhance our communication. This is still very much a work in progress, but I will share with you that overall, I have gotten really excellent feedback on the movement-wide calls every 60 days for 30 minutes. I've had board chairs come up to me and go, it's perfect, 30 minutes. I print out the report after the call. I meet with my exec the following week, and we go over things. So some people like it could be longer, but I think the overall buzz is 30 minutes. It's a lot, but we're getting really good feedback. I've also heard from some of you that you think communication's been strong coming out of the office about things. It's a work in progress. Please let us know. But I got to tell you, Joanne and Annette are all over it, and we really want to be real-time organized. And I will tell you, as we get more human capital on the team, of course we want a board packet to come out a week in advance. Of course we want agendas. These people are doing 3 people's jobs at one time. So I just want to acknowledge what people are doing. But our goal is to make sure communication to you and the field is best in class and real and fast. And I still have to create that CEO advisory group. So I got some things still I got to take care of. And then I said we implement a campaign to prepare us for a major fundraising initiative that I've never seen the organization go through. Yes, it is $25 million. Okay, we should not be scared of that. We should be excited about it. Partnership with the Philanthropic Committee. We're going to create this campaign to go out to foundations. They all know we're coming. They all know we're coming. I can tell you that much. As David likes to say, I've planted a lot of seeds. I like to say the last quarter was Miracle Grow. And then April showers should bring a lot of Mayflowers. So, this is our moment. And I will tell you from watching what's going on in the philanthropic world with more boutique Jewish nonprofits and the money that they have been raised, we're a big no-brainer right now if we are locked and loaded. And you might wonder, what do I mean by that? 2 months ago, Repair the World, which focuses on people 21 to 28 through service, just got an investment of $13 million. Okay? Leading Edge, which Gali Cook spoke to our board, just got an investment of $16 million to reboot their organization. And look at the size and scope, and we're only asking for 25. So we should feel really confident that this is our moment. They asked us for a plan. We're going to give you a plan. And we should come out of this board meeting with a lot of, hopefully, feeling really inspired by it. So it was a turnaround journey. I told you this in Minneapolis. I feel I wanted to kind of give you a sense of the journey from now to June, if you approve the plan or when you approve the plan. We're going to go out there and raise a lot of money. We're going to continue to invest and recruit people to our team. At the end of February, we're bringing in the whole team from Israel, Florida, West Coast, wherever, to JCCA to come together to all understand what is being expected of us over 3 days at the end of February and dedicate the new offices for the professional team. April to December, I hope it's not a strategy, so I'm going to correct myself. April to December, we're going to launch a lot of new stuff for the fields, add a lot of new value. And then, in only 15 months, Lori and Lisa are going to throw a party for 1,000 of our closest friends across JCCs. Again, supported by Carrie. Thank you. I know some people did field trips last week looking at a place to meet. People are going to stand up and thank us for all we do for them across the movement. We have now, I'm looking at Charles for a moment because you just smiled, Charles, 19 JCCs in New York. Last year we had 8. So that's been a big growth for the New York system. 8. So to Steve and Phil, we know those New York days. We got 3 more to hook, but we'll get them, I promise you. So we got a lot of stuff to go through this journey together. I'm always transparent. One thing you'll know about me, I want you to know my milestones. That's what you hold me accountable for. By the end of February, I hope that we'll recruit for a Chief Advancement Officer and a Senior VP of Development. We're going to meet with leadership of foundations. We're going to hold a staff retreat, I just said. We're going to launch a J-Camps task force. We're going to develop a new J-Direct plan. What is that? Coming soon to a theater near you. Michael and I are working on using a team of recently retired exceptional CEOs to work with execs across the field. We're going to implement a dynamic MIFGOSH executive conference in only 3 weeks. Wow. Thank you to Mark Young and David Kessel and Carrie for their leadership. And I really want to acknowledge everything now is by the field, for the field. Every committee meeting we have, I think, 18 CEOs on this committee. We had 54 working on ProCon. And a real big shout out to Mark and to David for the way you really engaged that committee. So thank you guys very much for that. Okay. And we're going to kick off the J Summit Committee. So that's just February, by the way. Okay. That's just the goals for February. Then in March, Lisi and I are going to be working really hard with the governance committee and Gary to finalize board nominations and the officers of the board, because in May, we're going to install a new board chair. And that board chair will have their executive committee. We're going to continue recruiting for an exec of the Center for Talent. We're going to develop a business plan for our new Miracaz Training Center. So when you go to the offices tonight, just know that, we're open 7 days a week, but staff are required to be there Tuesday through Thursday. I think people are going to want to rent our spaces and we can turn it into a moneymaker. I've quickly learned what it costs to rent this place. Other places in New York, when you see our space tonight, I think foundations looking for spaces in New York and other institutions are going to want to use our space. So Michael and I are going to work on a business plan, and we're going to be filling it with lots of people. But we're also going to be filling our training center and offices with like a program guide of programming. The Miracaz will both be physical at 520. It will be virtual, a virtual office, and it will be regional. And I'm really excited that Mark will be our VP of the Miracaz. So Mark, congratulations. To help build out new programming. So we're going to build a business plan. We're going to continue meeting with foundation leadership and continue our TICFA campaign. And by the end of April, we're going to take all the work from the governance task force and make sure that we have a roadmap to do every little thing that they recommended to us. Hopefully we'll hire on board an exec for talent, hiring on board a new philanthropic executive and senior professionals, and start launching our Miracaz Training Center for the movement. So that's our bold next 3 months. This is what it looks like if we're successful, when we are. That's actually, we can update that one next time, but we're the indispensable partner. We're up to 148 JCCs and JCC camps, and that we are recognized as a catalyst that supports and transforms local Jewish community centers into thriving hubs of Jewish life, innovation, impact, and that I will do everything I can with all of you to make sure that people know that JCCs are empowered to fulfill their highest potential as the beating heart of the Jewish community where they live. And so a lot's been going on. And you see puzzle pieces of how we turn around an organization. You've seen the work that we're about to do in the next days. And my job is to answer any question you have, things that you might still be concerned about, things that you might think are missing. Maybe I didn't say it, but I think that's my final slide. Oh, yeah. And there's the final journey completed. So the bottom line is there's a lot that goes on to turn around an organization. It's not scary. It can be a lot of fun. It can be inspiring. So let's open it up to anybody who has a comment, a aha moment, a concern, a revelation. What's on people's minds about where we are? Some of you have sat in this boardroom for over 35 years. Who's been on this board more than 30 years? Okay, so you've seen lots of plans. What do we think, folks? And I'm not fishing for compliments here. I'm fishing for governance feedback about where we are in this moment. 3 centers, transformation, staff, org charts. Before we get into the talkless with Brian, right? Who's got thoughts? Oh, this cannot be a shy group.
Yeah. Sue and then Lord.
Provided the microphone works, I think.
You still have pursue.
Do I have to talk deeply like David? That would be great. I have a quick question about early childhood and where we are with Sheva and Veronica's programs and Elevated.
Yep.
And how they differ and should they be merged?
That is a really great question, and not a simple answer. So right before the break, I had a call with Eric Fingerhut, the head of JFNA, and Rabbi Rick Jacobs, the head of the Union of Reform Judaism, to talk about where are we. And I asked for 90 days to understand kind of what's going on. I don't think it was such the intention at birth to have these things be two separate entities. Through different circumstances, they became two different entities. Veronica does incredible work supporting all of our schools. Elevated is working with, I think, 12, 15 JCCs, preschools within the synagogues of those communities to help recruit teachers. I see personally great opportunity for better cooperation and understanding. Both are doing very successful things. We need to take a hard look at it. So I don't have the full answer. The funders are curious about how this whole thing works. Both are doing incredible impact. But I think that it is optically weird to have something feel disconnected from each other in its current. And I think myself taking a fresh look at it, Daniel's been in the community, others that will be here, looking at the data, using research. My goal is to have a recommendation for our leadership and them, if not by March, but this spring. But how JFNA looks at it and the URJ looks at it is really great. But no one's got more experience in operating early childhood centers than the JCC Association. So there's thoughts, should JFNA hold it? Should we still hold it? And I'm still holding it with you guys till I understand what's the highest and best recommendation to run Elevated. But I think there can be way more them working in cooperation with each other. So high-level answers, more to come, but you named something that is very, very top of mind right now that needs further figuring out.
So I have I'm going to say self-centered question coming from J Summit. A couple of things that have come up in at least this is my conversation, is one is how we think to budget J Summit. As it's sort of the culmination of your puzzle pieces. It's where the puzzle is presented to the world, and how we can leverage that, again, from a fundraising standpoint, so it doesn't impact the organization, but we can actually get the biggest bang for our buck. And also concerned with poor Carrie every time she gets listed is our staffing, right? How, with something as important as you've highlighted, where it fits in the scope of the personnel that's here, that's already being, and know that it's right now we're sort of in a quiet period, but it's going to get busy. And where do you see it fitting in your organization?
So what was the first part? I got the personnel part. I got
the fundraising part of it, the financing. So like budget. Where do we budget?
I think over the next 30, 45 days, the two of you, Carrie, Michael will give historical J Summit. We need to build a budget, though, not built on scarcity, built on putting on something that will be epically transformative. And what does that cost? How much do we think we can charge people? And what's the delta between what we can charge and we can raise? I do believe that the funders we're talking to understand that J Summit could be part of that whole thing.
Just, can I say, think about it differently. It's how much can we fundraise first? And then let's try to cover the whole cost, right? Let's really be aggressive to say, let's try to get the funders to go out there and pay for it so that the impact on our community is less. So I just want you to think.
I love that. Sometimes I've seen people do that with age cohorts, with like younger leaders, making it half for free. Let's explore it all. Okay. In terms of the personnel, one is you're in incredibly great hands with Carrie right now. No one dots I's and cross T's about conference management. The things are 15 months away, so things happen. People move on to different opportunities. We don't know what the world will bring. The team that we have now, in my philosophy of leadership, Lori, is a networked org chart. Nothing's about one person. Many of the people on this bus right now could pick up J Summit and run with it if they had to. So we're not going to rotate people in and out. We don't know what will be, but I will promise you that the whole entire exec and senior team, J Summit's our Super Bowl. ProCon is our Super Bowl. And I think we saw it this year. We'll work on systems and communication, but when you have 30, 40 staff working on one program, these programs should be a full team effort, not one little department planning J Summit. Does that make sense? Everybody will have a role. Daniel, buckle up. Deanne, everyone who works at JC will play a role in shaping the entire program, because it has to have, I would love to see, Lisa and Lori, that it follows the 3 centers in some philosophy, that there's innovation, there's peoplehood, there's leadership development. Why wouldn't we deploy the team to all have a role? So the quicker that we can lock in date, lock in location, budget, we will then immediately empower the team to understand what kind of role they're going to have. If you ask Veronica, would you like to have a role at J Summit touting early childhood? So all these people, I just want to tell you, in the past, they were doing stuff not necessarily involved. There are people who want that platform really badly. And so hopefully there'll be a VP of camping that will lead areas at J Summit, but everybody will play a role. So rest assured.
I just wanted to chime in on the budget side of it. Lori, I can't tell you how helpful it is going to be that you and Lisa and Carrie and whoever else is focused on it now, and the ability, I mean, Lisa did it for a decade and a half, but still, but the fact that we will be able to, y'all will do a lot of the hard work of coming up with a budget that reflects exactly what you just said, plus more things that you'll learn as we, as an agency, look to execute on a multi-year plan, as opposed to us walking into a year where some things were signed years ago. It's all going to be part of some concise process. In the past, both because we had to cancel and reschedule and it hasn't been able to be as planful from the financial standpoint, just because of all those moving parts. And the fact that you guys are already focused on this for something that's going to be 15 months in the future is going to making the money side of it, I'm not going to say easier, but it'll make it more thoughtful and planful. So thank you.
And just also beyond the foundations, Lori, there's a lot of corporate support on the corporate side. That's why we also need to add that into the philanthropic team. We've been doing that also in the corner of our desk. I think there's a lot of corporate sponsors that can help to subsidize. We have a lot of vendors that would love to be in the room. We just decided if we want a vendor hall. And that's the flip side. So we have to think, the committee has to think about those types of experiences. Anybody on the screen want to say anything about what you're hearing, feeling, seeing? Anybody want to share anything? Paul Gillis.
Sorry, I gotta figure out how the computer works. Yes, you have presented so many wonderful and bold plans here as a turnaround with the 3 centers of excellence and a lot of plans for new hires. I'm not sure that the philanthropic support is equally bold, at least in my estimation. If Leading Edge and Repair the World, which are a little more focused, I would suggest, in their approach, are able to raise $15 million each, it seems that, or roughly, it seems that our 3 centers of excellence might be able to raise $15 million each. And I don't know, I would recommend that you really shoot high in this at this time, because I think that you are presenting something that's transformational. I worry that the funding at $25 million it just starts to scratch the surface and doesn't provide for that transformational financial support. So something in the order of 45 million, maybe we get to a better place. I know we really have been struggling to keep a balanced budget and so forth, but we're really looking to change the reach. And I think that what you're proposing is wonderful, but I don't know that we'll get that reach at just 25 million. Look for response and comments.
Anybody else want to comment on that? One thing you'll know about me is that I'll have an uncanny ability to be honest with funders. There are so many things that have not been figured out. 25 million can get us way directionally correct, and then people will invest more in winners. We have a cred now. This is our moment. And I do have dreams that the funds are like, you're shooting too low. We would like to all pull together and give you guys 40. My mouth to, God's ears. So Paul, I hear you, but I also know that I'm measured, and I don't want to, we will do our best collectively. Many of you in this room actually have lots of influences with other people, and we just, let's do the best we can. I agree with Paul, but I also want to be very realistic about where we are and the fact that to recapture credibility with these foundations to give us unrestricted overhead, we're not one of their startups. We're a legacy organization that we want to have them help us turn the Titanic. So who's next?
We had the same exact conversation actually amongst the three of us over here and looked at, time frame and goals. And we totally believe that the number is low and it's a 3-year or so use of those funds. And so the idea of you're starting somewhere and going up, we believe that that's necessary, and actually saying that from the start of this is project A, and we're going to B and C and D. So we're in full agreement with Paul, but also full agreement with, the idea of start somewhere.
I will only know until I get the feeling, Jonathan, like what they're warming. They know we're coming. I agree on everything. And I love that this board generally feels the same way. The biggest thing is that when you get into the guts of the plan later today, does that inspire, do you feel that would inspire funders to think bigger than we are? I talked about camping. That money is in that 25 million is for a couple of people, not for the programming, hosting camp director conferences and retreats. Like, there are so many more widgets. We just haven't priced every widget out. So I believe when one funder said to me was, we know that if we help you fund people, that those people are then going to have ideas, and you're going to have to come back to us with their products. Right now, we just don't even have the R&D people to do the work. So I'm with everybody all the way. We'll need more than 25. And remember, this number's in perpetuity. So this is $8 million a year forever. So someone's like, look, we don't want to give you a 3-year runway. We want to give you a 5-year runway. Then the plan is actually 42, right? This number never goes away. So we're not expecting to do a board campaign of this level every couple of years, but we will need on average $8 million more than we have today to run our organization. Chair.
So just on the same point, I'm wondering why, since as you know, we have big requests from Maccabi to raise big money, why isn't that included in this number? Why are we treating it separately from the overall campaign?
I really don't have a great answer for that. To layer it in, so let me tell everybody some really amazing news that Jeremy is speaking to. The Marcus Foundation, in speaking to their leadership, wanted to double down on 6 major initiatives that they feel are worthy of the next level. And they went across the country and looked at everything that they were doing, and they asked for 6. Then they whittled it down to 3. And they said, we're going to go big on 3. And to the credit of Sam Cohn and our Maccabi team, JCC Maccabi was just named one of those 3. So congratulations. And in speaking to the Marcus Foundation leadership now a couple of times, the way every year that we're going for that $1 million funding just to keep the engine is so exhausting every October, November, hours of proposals to give us a multi-year runway. So the hours we're spending every fall could be spent on other work. And they've said to us, you don't need to ask for I think we need, Sam, like 1.3, 1.4, just to hold no Israel games, no third city, no alumni programs. So that's 4.2 we just need. And they've told us that we can upwards ask $10 to $12 million right now. If they haven't asked us to challenge us, Jeremy, with another foundation. So Sam and I are meeting with them 2-3 weeks. We'll see what they say. We didn't put that 12 million, really with 25 is we're looking for 37, but I also could tell you the Sheva Center needs 5 million. So there's lots that haven't been completely layered in. But the other big thing right now outside of this campaign is the Marcus Foundation. We'll see where that conversation goes in 3 weeks around the JCC Maccabi games. But it's just, I guess I didn't layer it here is because it's not across all 3 centers. It's one specific program. But that program funded at that level could throw off 10 to 15% overhead, which would be additional funds to make the organization run. Does that make sense?
Without that, we were ready.
What's that?
Just correct me if I'm wrong, but also that sounds like timing. I mean, Maccabi and the funder are ready for the ask now.
Correct.
If the timing had lined up, it likely could be, and maybe in 4 years from now, it will be part of our overall. I mean, but in this case, if you're meeting in 3 weeks, we're not going to be ready for the 25 million.
Oh, we'll be ready. Okay. But I will tell you, in speaking to the Marcus Foundation, just to tell you that they're our leading foundation investor right now, by far. Some of you don't know, you should all know, we just got a renewal, and congratulations to our JWB team and Annette and others that contributed $3.9 million over 3 years to expand Operation Summer Camp. Okay? So if you don't know what that is, that's kids of Jewish families living on military bases going to JC camps. I'm going to tell you why it's such a great sign. The last one was $3 million for 3 years, 10% overhead, $300,000 for us to pay bills. Now they're giving us $3.9 million over 3 years with 15% overhead. So they knew, which is an additional, Ron, I'm doing my math real quick. It's like additional $200,000 in overhead over 3 years. 3.9 for Operation Summer Camp, a major ask from Maccabi, and they said, we know you need help in peoplehood too, and everything else. So that's just one, but one other major funder in North American Jewish Life said to me, the biggest thing about that 25 million is that you get the foundations that already believe in you to go first, and then others will follow. But if your biggest investors like Marcus Foundation, historically the Mandel Foundation, others, if they double down, then all the other ones follow and collaborate with each other. So it's a little confusing maybe right now, but I just want to obviously just give a big shout out to Lisa Burrell, who is like a little speed dial to the Marcus Foundation, telling them this is real, she believes in us, she trusts us, and this is our moment. But we'll know about Maccabi hopefully in the next couple of months. Phyllis, and then who was the other? And Michael Golds. And then one more. So Phyllis. Oh, Jeremy, were you done, by the way? Jeremy, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be quick. I think it might be helpful because something like the dollars for Maccabi kind of got buried in the in the story. That for us to really get a feel for where the success is across the organization, I think it's really important that we see a list that includes everything, even though obviously the framework is the most important thing going on right now. The successes in these other areas and the way both staff and lay leaders have been impactful in making that happen, I think is really significant to what we see going forward. And we don't want to have those pieces fall apart because they're not fitting into the package per se, but to really give us an understanding of what's going on breadth-wise.
Absolutely. Michael?
Can you hear me?
thank you for the presentation. So I think what I'm about to say is kind of overstating the obvious, but you shared for this group, this audience, the efforts that are coming. It's as important for the JCCs in the field to hear the outcomes that are coming. And clearly between now and 2030, those are going to come in waves, maybe even phases. When we leave J Summit in 2027, those executive and lay leaders are going back to their boards to do what? To vote on the next year's budget. We asked them to commit to us last spring, led by you, Michael, David, a commitment. And now they're going to, for at least 18 months, and now they're going to go back after that point in 2027. So again, for everything we do and everything we are going to do, it's as important to ensure that we put the right communication, the right messaging around the outcomes from the perspective of the clients who are actually going to receive the benefits. Just a suggestion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who was on the screen? Paul?
Matt. Yeah, thank you for sharing some of those outcomes. That's terrific on the fundraising side. I worry a little bit. Well, let me also say that I'm very pleased to hear that we're now also including sufficient overhead in our requests. And I also would like to see some request for support for endowment with these big gifts, because I think it's great that we can support our sort of big goal operating needs for 3 to 5 years or longer. But I worry that if the foundation's interests change, or if they, or whatever the case, that may not be something that we can rely on in perpetuity. But it's nice to sock away funds every time we fundraise these large gifts that do support the organization in a meaningful way for, say, the next generation or so. So I would encourage that we ask also for some of the gifts from these large donors who are sophisticated and understand what it means. I don't want to get in a situation that we sort of get ahead of ourselves, get out over our skis, so to speak. So I think the endowment is a place that, especially in unrestricted funds, is a place that requires attention as well.
So we definitely are going to have a pretty robust job description for the new Chief Advancement Officer to pull all this together. And it's endowments. There's legacy campaigns that many of us know about leaving stuff within our estates, for the JCC Association, which can drop on us. Not that I was ever happy when people pass away in Baltimore, but I was very happy when I get a $500,000 check from the estate unfound to fix the pool, right? Legacy giving is another really important, I find, low-hanging fruit vehicle. We just haven't had the horses to move all those things at one time. So I hear you, Paul. We should also be getting so much money that we can also get interest income. We can use the interest income to pay back things. We know on our balance sheet, I don't know what the number is, Michael, we owe the endowment about $1 million. That needs to be paid back. It's all part of a plan over 3 years that we also need to pay ourselves back, because that $1 million less in the endowment could throw also $65,000-$70,000 of interest back into our budget. So to 45. All right, 4.5. I'm on 6.5. Okay, last comment. We're right on track for a noon break. So we are
Okay, so I'm going to go real quick because I know we're at noon.
It's
I would tie together something. The first comment Sue made about the importance of early childhood, and something that happened in this morning's session
when our table had our discussion about our pomegranate seeds and our links, and people around the room talked about it, and it seemed like at our table, almost to a person, early childhood at the J was the root, the seed that brought us all here. And I just want to emphasize again the importance, if we're looking futuristically at Jewish peoplehood, and I know what's happening in my community, we really need to focus on early childhood, I think, to continue the influence of what it has created and brought together.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your engagement with the process today. And Barak, thank you. And obviously more to follow, and then you'll see a different version of it with Brian and right after lunch. But we are going to now break for lunch.